Hey, it's Nitya with Karma Chameleon. I wanted to continue with the stories of Feng Shui and share with you some of my ghost busting stories. Woo! You didn't see that coming, maybe, but there you go. Sometimes when you visit houses, you encounter entities, spirits that are trapped here. So I have several to share. The first one is with a dear friend of mine was living at the time in a very old house that down in the basement they had found, let's just say, some interesting jars with some interesting things in the jars that suggested that maybe the woman that had lived there before was into magic. The youngest son kept feeling and seeing things that were making him scared. So we did a clearing. And this was my first time around this rodeo. I don't even know what part of me thought that I had the skills to do a ghost removal. Okay. So what I did was I remember going up to the center part of the house at the top of the landing, top of the stairs at the landing. I sat down, and then directly under me on the first floor, I had the kids, and I think they might have had some of their friends. They were all sitting down there in a circle, and I had them focus on really positive thoughts, really beautiful images in their mind and in their hearts. And I have words that I read, like a statement, basically, of guiding this entity out of the house. So I begin this incantation, and pretty soon I felt an energy coming down the hallway very quickly and go through my body. And it was like, almost like if you have ever jumped into an ice bath, that sensation running through my veins. And it took my breath. My name is Nitya, and this is the landing place for all things Feng Shui, Bazi Chinese Astrology. I love to read celebrities' charts and famous people's charts here, and also offer information about Feng Shui and Flying Stars Feng Shui. Please subscribe and follow, like, comment if you feel like it, if this is something that speaks to you. Anyway, so to wrap up that little story, I will say that it felt like I had moved and I had spoken with this entity. I will say that for that particular house, that woman, she did not want to leave. And in fact, she wound up pushing my friend not only out of the house, but out of her marriage. Not that that was the impetus for the end of the marriage, but there are definitely, and this is not the only house where I have seen somebody being pushed out by a spirit energy. Not to say, there's, thinking of, oh my gracious, the client stories, they keep coming. All right, so that was one. Another one was a house built in a subdivision that some developer thought it was a great idea to buy old Civil War battlefield land and put a neighborhood on it. Like, really? Really? Oh my gracious. It reminds me of when I was in training for Feng Shui, my teacher telling me about, I want to say it was in New York State or New York City, where there was a development, a big high-rise building was being constructed on a Native American burial ground, and shit went really wacky wild. There is such an arrogance, my friends, to how we claim this land, that we don't own it. One of the first things I said when I moved into this house, this is the first house I've ever owned, I do not own you. I will never own you or this land. I am here in a relationship in which I promise to take good care of you and to love you. And I ask that this house and this land protect me and keep me safe and help me to prosper and do well in my life. And that is the agreement that I made on the day that I took occupancy of this house. It is a strange concept to me that I say that grass out there and those buttercups are somehow mine just because I have paperwork that says that this plot of 8 acres with a house on it and barns and whatnot is somehow mine. So they developed on a battlefield. This woman contacted me and I went to the house there. You know, it's interesting. Children around the age of 4 to 6 have often encounters with the dead. I believe it's at the age of 5 that the top of the head fully closes, and that is the end of your connection to the other world. Before that time, up, from the time of birth all the way to the age of 5, we are still in the other world, and we still can connect to other entities and spirit beings, maybe even from our last life. And I remember my infant daughter, when I was holding her, seeing her stare into the corner as if she were looking at something, and I knew that she was seeing something I couldn't see. So anyway, this little boy, 5 years old, I think they had 4 kids, was really freaked out, having nightmares, not being able to sleep. He kept seeing a Civil War soldier walking down the walkway. So I came to the house. The prior owner had died. I felt her too. So I'm walking through the house, and I'll say that the first room that I went into was this large room that I don't know what they were using it for, but had a mismatch of furniture and whatnot, and it felt cold, and that's your first sign that there's a being. And I felt an energy of someone that was sick. There was a heaviness, but also at the same time, a sense of freedom. So I felt the energy of the woman that had died, but I did not feel like she was attached to the house. So she wasn't like lingering around. Then I went upstairs, and the woman of the house told me that her closet gave her the creeps, and she kept feeling like somebody was watching her. So I go upstairs. I met with the little boy, and I said to him, "You don't have to worry." Because I still in my head, I can see this soldier. I said, "The Civil War soldier that's walking towards your house is not coming to harm you. He has a smile on his face. He's coming home." And I said, "You don't have to be afraid of him. He's not coming to hurt you. He's happily returning home." But on the flip side, when I went into the main bedroom where the parents were sleeping, it was a very dark room. Not because the blinds were drawn or anything. It was just a dark room. And I went in, and I was like, it felt really heavy. And not only heavy, but uncomfortable. There was something in the walk-in closet that felt like an entity that was very dark, kind of like something hiding in the closet, down in the floor. I did an energy clearing similar to the one I did at my friend's house. And actually, I follow the same clearing mantra That's basically acknowledging the beings are there and then asking them to leave. And all of that needs to be done in a respectful way. I don't want to miss any of the stories because there's some rich ones. So those are, the other one that I was thinking of this was a house blessing. This couple had bought a house where a divorce had happened, and that was the reason they sold their house. And they had bought it. This couple had bought the house. And the woman called me and said that she was concerned, that she didn't know anything about Feng Shui. She wasn't interested in a Feng Shui consultation, but she wanted me to do a house blessing to make sure that the energy from that marriage didn't impact her wonderful marriage and her beautiful family. So I went to the house. They hadn't moved in yet. Unbeknownst to me, I show up, I always place a singing bowl, crystals, and incense in the center of the house to anchor the house down and to bless it. Because the center of your home is the heart of the home. It's one of the most important spaces in your house. So I have all these things that I'm bringing in, and they made it a house blessing party. Their realtor was there, their child was there, their child's friends, and some close friends of theirs were there. So there was probably about, 6 people. So I took the woman aside and I said, I need to let you know that sometimes when I do this, I might suddenly scream, I might suddenly cry. And I want your friends and these children to know that this might be something that's rather disturbing, and I have no control over what's coming through me in that moment. And she's like, oh, wow, okay. So I think she signed up for a little bit more of a spiritual journey than she was looking for. But suffice it to say, I start going through the house. So I start in the center and start with the incantation of clearing the house. And then I leave the incense. And then it's kind of a little bit awkward, but you're ringing the singing bowl, you're chanting, and I'm holding incense at the same time. It's a whole commotion. But anyway, so I'm walking through this house. I get to the kitchen. I remember the exact place I was standing when I heard in my head loud, violent screaming of a man and a woman. Now, it's not like I'm hearing specific words. I'm hearing the energetic echo of the violence. And it felt like somebody was being pushed. There was some kind of a physical moment with this altercation, and it was a tight place between the island and the stove near the back door. Told you in my other videos I've posted, I never forget a house. And it was at that moment that I began to have very violent breathing and started to sob. And I felt I would say the pain and the grief of this marriage dissolving so violently. And I kind of hung there, even though I wanted to run out of it. So I stayed there because that's an important thing to do. I stayed in that spot. I absorbed the toxic, screaming, painful energy. And what I do as the medium in this, I am absorbing it. So now I'm owning it. And what I'm doing with the smoke and with the words and with the bowl and the bell, we're holding this in sacred space. So we're blessing the space that I'm in. So when I get to the car, roll all the windows down and sit and purge that out of my body. very important to do that. That you don't take that negative traumatic energy into your body and then leave it there. All right, so probably one of my favorite stories that happened in 2021, so it's really recent. I got a call from a woman who was experiencing an all-out attack on her from the house. They were renting it. She kept insisting she wanted to buy it. And I kept thinking, why? They had a tree that fell on the house, nearly crushing one of their son's bedrooms. So they had to move out while the house was being fixed. In the midst of all this, the woman was experiencing horrific health issues. And she felt like she really wanted to have this Feng Shui consultation to clear things up. I looked at her astrology. Nothing is really pinpointing that this is a time of great disaster in this woman's life, and yet there's disaster happening everywhere. All the things that could go wrong in this house are going wrong, and it's all directed at the mother. So one of the first questions I ask is, what is the history of the house? Before you buy a house, it's a good idea to ask these questions, right? So the owner of the house, remember they're renting, the owner of the house, his previous 2 wives fell down the stairs to their death. Interesting. I thought, My first thought was these women are pushing her out, and they are here. One of the sons, of course, the younger one, was experiencing ghost-like visitation and was having trouble sleeping. The family was really in crisis. From the effects of the pandemic, the effects of what was going on in the house, and the health impacts that was having on the wife. So I'm going up this narrow front stairwell, and I'm holding the railing, right? Holding the railing, because I'm like, this could be something. And as soon as I get to the top of the steps, I feel this whoosh. I felt 2 beings in front of me, and I felt this whoosh. And in that moment where my blood goes cold, I had no doubt they were both pushed. I had no doubt both of those women had been pushed down those steps to their death. So I finished the consultation. I went home, and something came to me. A ceremony. Let's do a ceremony. So I wanted to involve everyone in a reenactment of the event and heal the event, right? So at the top of the stairs, I had the husband and the wife standing at the top of the stairs. Then me, and then the 2 kids, and each of the kids were holding a yellow flower. So each of the kids are representing one of the women that died. And I felt like a silk yellow flower felt like a sign of spring, of rebirth, of growth, of beauty. And so each boy's got one of those. I'm at the top, so I'm leading the track. I'm leading the parade down the stairs. The front door is propped open. It's a hot summer day. And we've got the front door propped open. Beautiful yard, beautiful big trees, lots of shade. So the front of the house wasn't feeling a lot of heat, but I'm just saying it was a hot day. That's an important piece, and you'll find out later. So we propped the front door open, and I said to the husband, I want you to say this over and over to your wife, and the wife is going to say this back to you. You are safe. You are loved. We are well. And so she says it back. And we repeated that going down the steps. You are loved. You are safe. We are well. We went out and stood facing the house in a semicircle. Semicircles are really important for containing an energy. For instance, if you want to command a room, stand in a way that the chairs are situated so that you are right here and the chairs are circled around you. You will hold far more power than if it's a straight row. Anyway, so we're standing in a semicircle outside, and I am ringing the singing bowl, and I am burning sage to clear this energy. And so we're all going down these steps. And the whole time, the husband and wife are walking down side by side. We get outside and we're standing there. And I said, and I continued the incantation several times. The clearing one that I've referenced before. And then all together we said, the boys included, we are loved, we are safe, we are well. And I told the boys that they could take their yellow silk flowers and place them somewhere in the property to give these women somewhere to go. And they chose this massive magnolia tree, and they climbed up into the tree and placed the flowers up there. And the husband went in to cook dinner, and the wife and I sat down on the front steps. And for a length of time, there were these waves of ice air coming out of the house. And she and I were talking, and pretty soon it turned into kind of like day-to-day friendly talk. And that's when I looked at her and I said, I'm not feeling the cold waves of air anymore. And she goes, me either. I said, oh, you felt them too? She goes, yeah, I was noticing it. I said, I think they're gone. So here I am at my own house. My daughter is psychic. She reads tarot. She sees spirit animals around people, and she sees auras. Yeah, and when she came to my house was built in around 1905. It used to be like an 800-acre tobacco farm out here in Virginia. And I didn't want to hear this. My daughter's telling me all these things she's seeing. And I had already noticed some stuff, like at the back door, occasionally I smell cigarette smoke. And she's like, oh yeah, there's a man there. And she describes this man. And it sounded exact description of somebody from like in a suit from the early 1900s. I also have felt the presence here of a little girl. I want to say she has blonde hair, and she's got like a little dress, like a sweet dress on. And at night, sometimes I hear things running around. And I would say the running around sounds like either a child running around or possibly a cat. It's too fast to be a dog. You know what I mean? Like cat feet are faster moving. And I say my prayer at night. I am safe. I am protected, and I am well. And you all need to quiet down and let me sleep and leave me alone. Sometimes I'll make a big bang. That's it. You guys, quiet down. Because it is disconcerting to be in a house when you're hearing or feeling some other energy. But I am not in any way, shape, or form promoting myself as a Ghostbuster here on my YouTube channel. I'm just sharing stories that are part of the Feng Shui consultations that I do. And I will say that I have found it interesting that all of those stories really were situations that came to me, that it's not like I actively pursued them. They just were part of, again, the consultation. And I think that it's one of those things that they just kind of evolve and happen. But I wanted to share those with you today. If you're interested in your own Feng Shui consultation, you can do it on Zoom. Gotta love Zoom. All around the world we go. So yeah, Feng Shui consultations are awesome. They do come with a free Bazi Astrology reading for you, and if you have a partner that lives with you. And if you're interested in your own Bazi Chinese astrology reading, aside from a consultation, you can do that as well. Go to karmachameleon.com. I'll put the address in the description. That's all for now. More stories to come. Be well.